This is an interview with Rebecca Banks for the Youngstown Historical Center of Industry and Labor Oral History Project titled Women at Work. The interview is being conducted at the Steel Museum on April 24th, 2023, and my name is Susan Lowry. Hi, how are you today?
I'm good. It's so exciting to be here, and I'm happy to meet you in person.
Yes, I'm happy for that too, and I am very thankful that you're here and willing to do this with us. I have a couple of introduction questions, okay? Where did you and your family live when you were growing up?
Smoky Hollow.
Smoky Hollow.
Which is right that way, and Boston University, and I love it. So much history there.
Yeah.
And we lived on Valley Street, which is closer to the freeway now.
Okay.
But my grandpa had 2 homes. He owned all 3 homes. He let us live in his one home.
Oh, okay.
And he had homes on Court Street. So
Okay.
that's like if you come right down the hill down Walnut and make a right. Yeah. And
Okay.
that's closer to the MVR. A lot of people know the MVR.
Yeah.
And I always like to give this fun fact. I was
Yeah.
looking at, last night I was at an event and I was looking out the window. I was telling my friend, like, I grew up down there. Like, you see that field? It's called Harrison Field. YSU uses it now, I think, for sometimes band practice.
Yes, I do remember seeing that. Yeah. And it's fun to hear that too.
It is, and I want to do research in the future here, maybe on that, because my dad used to play baseball every summer, and I heard there was leagues, so that would be the 50s when he was playing.
Yeah.
He was in high school.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. And then, what did your parents do for a living?
My mom was stay-at-home mom, and my dad had his own business. He was a wall washer and a painter.
Oh,
so
okay.
He went all over and had different long-term customers, but sometimes shorter terms. And so one of the best memories is I would always see like his work pants and like the colors. I still have one of his ladders in my house, so it makes me feel happy.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, you mentioned your grandpa too. So what was his main job?
He worked at the mills.
What mill did he work at, or just
I'm not sure. I want to come here and do research for it.
Okay,
which I heard is a valuable option if you know the name and things. I'm not sure that I would see things at the home from like Republic, but see, my uncle also worked in the mills.
Okay.
So my memory's a little fuzzy, so I'm going to come here in the future and do research.
I think you should, and I'll help you with that.
Thank you. But yeah, he worked in the mills.
Okay, so then where did you go to high school?
Rayen High School.
Oh, did you?
Rayen, yes.
Right down here.
At the time it was on Bonita.
That's right. I remember now.
Yes,
I always forget about that one because this one is just down the road.
Original.
And then
Class of 1980.
that was going to be my next question. But so after that, then my next question is: did you have a job during high school?
Yes.
Where did you? Do you remember?
Would work with my dad. So when I turned about 16,
Yeah.
as I mentioned, he had certain customers that were like long term. One of my favorite memories is I did some cleaning. He would get me little cleaning jobs at times.
Oh.
I used to work for this one lady, and for the life of me, I can't remember her name, but she was very nice. Lived right off of Mahoning, a little bit further up, but not quite Austintown. It was still Youngstown.
Yeah.
But she was very nice. She had a goat in the backyard.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny for a Youngstown. Yeah.
And she gave, that's the first and only time I ever had goat milk. So I can tell you I prefer it cold. Like one time I had it warm, but that was so cool. And I also had a job in high school, 2 small jobs. I went to Schaffman Career Center.
Oh, okay.
When I was a senior. And toward the end of the school year, they kind of seg you out. Like, so you go to class a little bit and then you get a part-time job.
Oh, okay.
And there was a place up there close off of McGuffey, Wick and McGuffey. And it was like some kind of coupon clearinghouse. So I would go and picture a room of us ladies counting coupons.
What?
So the more advanced workers, they did some kind of calculations. But my friend Linda Martin and I had that job, and we just had to count them like in bunches of 100. It was so interesting. I wish I could recall the name. It was still around for a while because it moved, and I believe it was up on Belmont. I would see the name sometimes when I was passing by.
You would count coupons?
Yeah, like
what was the purpose of it, though? That's what I'm confused about.
Somehow, I think to redeem I don't know if the stores sent it to them.
Oh, okay.
To get the redemption money.
Yeah.
And then I had another part-time job right out of high school.
Yes.
So that's
what was
summer.
that? Okay.
So I used to be in this program, Manpower, and it was administered by the beautiful Miss Eugenia Atkinson.
Okay.
Who is a well-known name in Youngstown, and she has the recreation center is now named after her up there by Briar Hill, Westlake.
Oh, okay.
And we would go once a month. It was a program. Once a month, we would go out to, I think that's 46 Austintown area.
Yes. Yeah.
And we would go to different like enrichment classes, speakers. I remember one month, Nikki Giovanni came and spoke to us.
Okay.
That was cool, and they gave us her book. That other book, What Color is Your Parachute? I remember getting that. One month we did a mock interview because we were close to graduation, but it was a wonderful program, and we received a little stipend, and they would have a bus that would take us out there.
Yeah.
Well, she was familiar with me, so when I graduated, like right that summer, I was able to get a small job at the YWCA right here, and I did cleaning.
Okay. Yeah.
So I did various cleaning jobs. Sometimes I cleaned some of the residents' apartments or little rooms. It was more like a room then.
Okay.
But sometimes the lobby. But I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
And it lasted for that summer.
Yeah. And then did you go to college after that, or did you just work odd jobs, or what did you do?
I went to college, I want to say 1981. I graduated in 1980. So I had a full-time job downtown at Woolworths.
Oh,
which
okay.
We go into a lot.
Yeah.
But I remember starting school. So I worked all day. It was a full-time job, 40 hours a week, plus sometimes more than that.
Ooh, okay.
And I remember taking some classes, and I would go to school at night. And I lived literally down the street.
Okay.
Where Lincoln Avenue, where it's a parking lot now.
Yeah.
There were some big homes, and we rented a room there.
Okay.
But so I remember taking a few classes, but it didn't work out. I was going through some domestic violence issues.
Oh.
You know, being perpetrated on me and working full time, so it didn't work out.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you so much.
Man.
But,
okay.
And you know, a lot of women go through that now. Even
yeah.
I mentioned to you earlier that I worked with a lot of students from 2010 to 2016, and those issues are still kind of things students deal with sometimes. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So you worked at Woolworths in the early 80s.
Yes.
And you did that full time. Was there a lot of women who worked with you?
Yes.
At that job? Okay.
Yes. So Woolworths is in the Knox building downtown. Famous building, which is still being lovingly maintained and used by Dan Martini and Jacob Harvard.
Okay, very good.
I love that they're using the building and doing so much beautiful things with it. And they're always very welcoming. So it was 3 stories, I believe, 3 or 4 if you want to count the lower level.
Yeah.
As I mentioned to you earlier, before that we started recording, sometimes my memories are just slightly fuzzy, but the main gist. So I was on I call it like the tail end of the store.
Okay.
So all of those floors weren't operational when I worked there.
Okay.
I was hired as a waitress.
Oh, okay.
But I did a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Waitressing, bus person, short order cook, cashier, even did some office work when they found out I had that training from chauffeuring.
Okay.
And there was so much I wish, back then we didn't have all the pictures we do now. But I could see some things in my mind, like the cash registers were very unique. Yeah. You had to spread your fingers out and let's say the ticket came to like $2.54, and you had to like do. Like, there was one big lever you had to push down.
Oh my goodness!
There was also a dumbwaiter.
Was there?
So like I remember clearly, there was like I think 3 or 4 registers spread out because we had the long counter first.
Okay.
You walk in, and if you went, there were like 2 doors you could go in, and if you went to the furthest door on the right there on the right was a long counter with stools. The first end of it was very popular. That was a highly desired spot, I guess you can say. And then past the counters, there were some booths. Maybe 7 or 8. And then you kept going past the counter, and there was on our side, so there was like the cash registers, and there was the fancy little parfait dishes, and the ice cream mixer machine, which was hard to do. The ice cream, because it was always frozen, like super hard. So you kind of dreaded when somebody ordered a milkshake, although they were very delicious, but you had to scoop that. And then with waitressing, the whole key is like, you gotta be fast, because a lot of people on their lunch. But we would just scoop it out and put the little flavoring, and then put it up to the thing. I could still see it, and it goes zzz. But you kept going a little bit further, and there was one register right next to the dumbwaiter. So I guess it's like a shaft.
Okay.
And there was an intercom right there, because if you were running, like, we had a, facing the front windows, there was like a counter, so it was like this fried chicken.
Oh,
and they told me in the past, because a lot of the women that were still working there had been working there for years. So I worked with a mix of older women and then women my age.
Okay.
Young 20s, teens. And the older women told us how there used to be like a whole bakery, another whole counter where you could, with glass, and you could get, I remember monkey bread standing out. That was delicious. But all kind of fresh rolls and everything. But with the fried chicken counter, if you worked there, there was one lady that was her main job, but if she was off or something, you would have to say, like, go run over to the intercom and press it and be like, running low on chicken breast or something. And I remember one time, I don't know how it happened, it was something from how fast I was trying to move, and somehow I hit my nose on it.
Oh, no.
That hurt so bad. And speaking of faux pas, one time I was carrying, you had to carry things, so like there's, the dumbwaiter went up to the main big kitchen.
Okay.
Can't remember for sure if it was the 2nd floor or 3rd floor.
Okay.
But it would, they would transfer, because we had like a hot table and things like that, or the fried chicken. So one time a big pan of delicious, I'm going to say the pan was like this, one of those serving catering trays.
Yeah.
And it was all full of fried chicken breast.
Yeah.
Don't you know? I'm walking and I slipped. Awesome grease, something wet on the floor, and boom. So I'm surprised. I'm surprised they didn't take it out of my paper. I had to get them up, put them back. But the dumbwaiter was pretty cool, and I don't know how many places have that in operation anymore.
No, I don't think so either. Definitely. Well, maybe if they do, it'd be like in bigger cities that might have that 2nd floor kind of facility for cooking and stuff. So
I would love to see one again, because sometimes when you're in the midst of all of that, you're not recognizing the historic part of it.
Yeah.
But it was it was interesting.
How did you get along with your coworkers?
Really good for the most part.
Yeah.
There were, sad to say, especially now that I could look back, some of the older ones were kind of jealous at times. I know there was a lot of scrutiny paid to how many hours each person got.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they would adjust the schedule. The schedule was written out. And of course, like December holiday time,
I see,
you can expect to have a lot of hours, but then once January hit, I remember one time the manager was like, read it and weep, people. But I pretty much worked 40 hours, at least, I want to say 30 and up. A lot of times, though, I would just stay after my time was up and just do extra stuff.
Oh,
whether
wow.
it's filling salt and peppers or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? Employers don't allow that anymore because of, discrepancies with the hours and stuff and pays. And
it was such a different time. Wait till I tell you how we got paid. But
tell me now.
Okay. Well, I was going to go back to the ladies.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, go back to the ladies and then the pay.
It was sad.
Yeah.
Because some of them were, well, there was definitely gossip going on.
Yeah.
And I want to say, how should I phrase it? They were constantly watching you.
Mm-hmm.
So the one manager, who will remain nameless,
that's fine,
was not a good leader in my opinion. And I've worked for a lot of other restaurants since then, and I see the difference. But they would kind of like, what's that called? Tattle? Almost tattle, but worse. Yeah. So to the point of one time there was a gentleman who would come and visit from out of town. And so they would check after he left. They'd go and check. They'd take his check out of my pile because each waitress had like a spiky thing.
Oh, yes.
Put,
the receipt on top of the spike so you know it's done or something like that.
So they would like literally a couple times they pulled his out to make sure I didn't give him anything extra. Now, this was a man who was kind of well-to-do, and I didn't see that scrutiny going on with other people. So I want to say...
I see what you're saying. Yeah, they singled you out over other individual coworkers.
Yes.
How did that make you feel?
It made me feel kind of bad.
Yeah.
But I think I was just so wrapped up into... It's a very fast-paced environment most of the time. Yeah. There were down times, but it didn't make for like that group feel. Yeah. Now my younger coworkers that were my age, we were all cool. I still have some that are friends today.
Oh, good.
We even went to like one year, the one young lady, her name was Margie. And her mother worked at the hospital, and so they would have like Idora Park Day, and she invited me, and we went to and then we rode on the Ferris wheel, and we went to the movies, and then there was another young lady named Natalie. She was mostly the grill cook. So, and we kind of like helped each other out.
Yeah.
Instead of like when you're a waitress, a lot of times you're assigned certain sections.
Yes.
And that can get very dicey, especially when you have certain customers that will tip you, won't tip you. Back then, tipping was optional, and it was very minimal.
I see.
So me, I just always went with the flow. I've always been like the kind of person, I'm happy to have a job. But some people there were more, give me the high tipper. And like let's say this is the counter and you have the first 8 seats are dedicated to your section.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be like you help each other out. But it was kind of sometimes that delineation, like don't you dare go.
There's a competition even?
Yes. Good way to put it, yes.
Okay, yeah.
And that wouldn't, so it had different feels.
Yeah.
Especially depending on who was working that day.
Yeah.
But most of the time it was just so busy that I didn't dwell on that. I didn't. But now, like they say, hindsight. Now I can compare and contrast. Especially that was like my first really main paid full-time job.
Yeah.
But it was so interesting. Now that I'm talking to you, I'm remembering how we got our tips. So that was another thing. You would think now that I look back, it was really much like very kind of punitive.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Explain.
So going back to them checking my check, instead of like, it's busy, can I help you pour a coffee? No, but they took time to do that. So we had these little silver tins.
Okay.
They had a coin slot. They had a slot. Sometimes you get dollars, which that was kind of rare, but coin slot.
Okay.
But they were locked. And I want to say, I don't think we had the keys. The boss had the keys.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, you were supposed to count it, report it. But even that, they would get really kind of, like I said, kind of a punitive thing.
Okay.
They're always watching, you know.
Mm-mm.
More like the management. They were.
Do you think that they were skimming off the top even?
That I don't know, but I know they were definitely watching it a lot.
I see.
And so it wasn't like a family feel or like a team. It was like part of a team.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. I have good memories of it. I met a lot of different people. I got to see the whole slice of life.
Whatever happened to Woolworths then?
So when I was working there, it was slowly on the way out. So like I just read about Bed Bath & Beyond filing for bankruptcy.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Sorry.
No, it's all right.
But
it's all right.
I don't know if Woolworths had done that, but so they were slowly like cutting out.
Because you were downtown.
Yes.
And because after the steel mills started to go away, downtown started to go away as well.
Yes.
So what happened with, so go ahead.
So customers told, so we had some customers that had been coming for years, way before I was even born, and they would tell us, there used to be 3 people in line waiting for this bar stool, you know.
Wow.
Not bar stool, but stool.
Yeah.
And we're like, wow, that's so cool. And they were still coming. We had customers that would still dress up in suits. We had all kind of customers. We had customers from the courthouse. We had lawyers. We had office workers. We had, I was trying to think on my way down here to remember some of the things. And I remember meeting these 2 lovely young ladies. One name was Pinky, and I don't remember the other lady. Pinky, her real name's Ethel. But they worked at Strauss's in the beauty salon.
Oh, okay.
And they did hair. So they would come in, and sometimes I would serve them, and they were so sweet. And then when I got married in '84, I actually went to Pinky. She was working right up the hill down the street, Coy Cornelius.
Okay.
She did my hair. But it's just nice. I love people, so I love the fact that I had that experience. I met so many different people.
Yeah.
You would have the grandmothers bringing in the grandchildren, which my grandma used to do. Take me downtown to the movies, the 2 main dishes that I remember that stand out from Woolworths, the chicken croquettes.
Okay.
So delicious. And we were kind of known for that.
Yeah.
And we had this kind of cheesecake that I call fluffy. So it's not the firmer one.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yes.
My 2 favorite, but it was just so interesting. You read back to the tip thing, because I kind of talk circular sometimes.
That's okay.
But it's very interesting because with the changes. So the tip thing, you know, they'd unlock it, which I feel now looking back, that's very like, you don't trust me. You know?
Yeah.
But they would unlock it, and you would count it, and you always included it with your taxes. But I remember sometime during that period, when I was employed at Woolworths, and I know I was employed there probably at least until '85. I got married in '84, and I know I was still working down there. But somehow the law changed, and there was this assumption that you made so much each day. So we started getting charged even more. I forgot to mention, our salary was $2.10 an hour.
So the distinction from then and now, it's crazy.
And they would, you know, they wanted you like, it was funny. But so there started to be this assumption. So it really was a very low wage job. Now they did give us a food ticket. And the interesting thing is I had forgot about those tickets until a couple years ago. I was visiting the girls' store in Beekner Hall on campus, and they have a cafeteria in the basement.
Oh, yeah.
And so I have friends that live there, and they invited me, and that's what they have. They use the ticket, and it's good. It's like there's little segments, like it says $1, $1, and then it goes down to like 5 cents, 10 cents. And that's how it was at Woolworths. So you got a small meal allowance, but it really was never enough for like a full meal. But the cool thing is they would give you like, I want to call it credit maybe.
Okay.
But so if you went over that, they would deduct it out of your check.
Okay.
Now one of the best things I like is we were paid weekly.
Okay.
And in cash.
Oh, wow.
Right from the drawers.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
Now they found out. So my main job, I got hired as a waitress, but I also did bus person, short order cook, cashier, all of that. But they found out I had some office training from shopping. And the main office worker, her name was, I want to say Georgiana, something like that. And she just had a lot of work. So they found out. So I would go on Fridays, and I remember it was in the basement somehow.
Okay.
I was going down, and I would help her. So she did all the calculations. So we would get like this gold envelope where they would slide the money in, but it had a little flap, and it would tell you like the FICA and whatever.
Okay, yeah.
And it was handwritten. So she would do all the calculations. I don't remember if I wrote sometimes. I might have wrote, but she did all the calculating. But she would give me this big sack like they have at banks, you know, for the money. Yeah. She'd give me this big sack, and I'd have all these bills, and I would just divvy it up.
For people's pay?
Yeah, it was all.
Oh my gosh,
so cool.
How neat!
It was so cool, but even that was a little controversial. A few, so I'm speaking about the restaurant side, but there was still sales floor too.
Yeah.
So there were clerks there, so it was always like surveillance. You know, they're watching.
Oh my goodness.
This one got 1/2 more hour or whatever, you know, or this one got this tip. So 1 or 2 people found out I was putting the money in, so they didn't like it, so you know. But I remember little murmuring. Yeah. But I enjoyed that experience. It was interesting.
So with the tip box though, and they would count it, did you get that tip money directly right then and there, or did you have to wait until payday?
No, we got it that night.
Okay, that's cool. And then the $2.10 an hour is what you got per week.
Yes.
Okay.
And they did give, around holiday time, I remember for Easter they would give us a beautiful lily, because they were still selling those lilies, alive. And then for Christmas time we would get a poinsettia.
Oh, okay, how nice.
That was really nice. And we had one year we had a dinner. We went up to the Colonial House on Market Street. Oh,
yeah. And the one that just recently caught fire?
Yes.
I know where.
It was there once, and that's when it was.
Wow.
I wanted to tell you about our uniform, too.
Okay, yeah.
So it was my first experience having to buy work shoes.
Yeah.
So they had to be white.
Okay. I've seen those.
Which were pricey.
Oh, my goodness.
Especially out of waitress.
And they didn't give you any kind of...
No
allowance. Allowance.
And you can imagine how dirty white gets.
Yeah.
So we had to buy this polish. And I had to use it again a couple years later when I had my baby son and he had the white shoes. I was like, oh, I know it. But we would use this polish. But our main outfit, so we had to provide a white blouse ourselves. And then they provided us with these red jumpers. They were a skirt, but they had you fastened it here.
Okay.
With the snaps or the hooks.
Okay.
And they would have different promotions. So they were known in the summer for strawberry pie.
Ah, okay.
So imagine all that and a big old white cowboy hat. And it was not optional, it was mandatory.
Oh my goodness.
So it was kind of fun, but hard to, when you're juggling food. We had to wear hairnets.
Okay.
So I had long hair at the time, so I would usually braid it. I would usually pin it up. But I don't remember if I wore a braid down there. But I would pin it up, so I was used to that. Very strict, no color nail polish.
Right.
So I'm used to that. So to this day, I use color, but I keep my nails very small because I just got used to that.
Yeah.
So they were kind of strict on certain things like that.
Yeah, they're not as strict anymore.
No.
Because I remember, I usually try not to share anything personal, but just to kind of relate. when I started at a fast food restaurant in the 90s, I was not allowed to wear fingernail polish either. But I have seen nowadays, they are definitely relaxed on that. Hair nets in some areas, yeah, I do still see that. But if it's not a hairnet, it's got to be a hat or something. So that's the crossover from a hairnet. So, yeah.
I wanted to tell you a little bit more about like the cycles. So it was interesting.
Yeah.
In food service and in restaurants, you get a rush.
Yeah.
So we knew first of the month that was going to be rush for sure. And that was kind of hectic. But we made it through, you know, and so that's where kind of the teamwork played in with some of us younger ones. Where, okay, Natalie was the grill person, but if we're running back there and she's, you know, we might flip the burger or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was like not real rigid.
Yeah.
You know, like not a kind of, that's not my job thing. You know, we would help each other. Or,
that's nice.
Or let's say Margie had a big family in one of the booths. You got to carry this food out. Can you help me carry these plates? So I love that part about it.
Yeah.
And that was really nice. But it was interesting. We had all kind of customers. Back at that time, there were still some music events going downtown. So I remember there was this famous group, Roger Troutman and Zapp.
It seems a little familiar, but anyways, go ahead.
And they were playing down at the State Theater.
Uh-huh.
And they had just got in town, and one of the assistants or something runs in, and I remember specifically they were looking for washcloths. But it was so cool, like, that's from Roger and Zapp, you know. And so it was just really, really fun. We had to deal, of course, with some clients who were a little ornery at times.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Been called a lot of names. One tried to throw a coffee cup at me for no reason.
Oh, my lands.
And I don't remember ever like police getting involved or anything. But
okay.
We just knew like you had to be prepared for anything.
Okay.
We would often get yelled at for the prices, which we had nothing to do with.
Right.
You know.
Oh, yeah. You being the middleman, though, that's what happens, right?
And the girls and I, one time we would make a joke. We'd be like, I remember now my other friend Lori used to work there. And we would say, we're going to write a recipe book one day. Because we saw a lot of strange to us, combinations of things, you know, like one example. One gentleman would get fruit punch and he'd put black pepper in it. So that was very unique.
That is a little okay. That's interesting. I have to agree.
But I liked the experience. I even won a little pin one year for like outstanding service or something, and they had a little gift brochure book you could pick something out of.
Yeah.
So I overall I enjoyed the experience.
Going back to when, you know, you guys, you ladies had worked together and you guys were flexible and helped each other out, the older ladies, did they ever kind of help you guys, you know, oh, I see a need over here, let me help her out? Was it okay with them too when it came on those rushes? Okay.
Yes.
It wasn't just the young girls, young girls helping each other. You all worked together as a team? For the most part? I'm reading your face.
I'm trying to think back.
Yeah.
Because it seems like we were more on that end.
Yeah. And rightly so. I mean, I get it. Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. And but I want to say it kind of depended on their mood that day. I remember a lot of them would take a lot of pills, like for aspirin. Not drugs, but aspirin. That stood out to me because that was like kind of foreign to me. Like, you know, they'd be like, "Oh, take my aspirin." So, well, let's hope it was aspirin. They didn't smile much, but there were one or two. But it was interesting because we still had some clothing, school supplies, what you might call a dollar store now. Woolworths was kind of the precursor of that.
Oh, okay.
So I remember buying, like, I've always loved scarves. So I remember one year buying scarves. But that was interesting because you you could either, of course, you had a choice, pay right there, or you could be like, take it out of my check this week.
Oh, okay.
So that was a nice option.
Yeah.
We were going to talk too about how it was on the wane.
Yeah. So I am curious, and how did that transition into your next job too?
Okay. Well, it's a little bit of both. I don't remember all the facts. I know I was still working there in 84 and early 85. I'm not sure if they had cut out the restaurant part completely, but I got transferred to the Southern Park Mall.
Okay.
They still had a big store with a separate whole cafeteria. Like buses would come to that. That was known for that was like a destination, and buses would come. And that part I never really worked in. I would go eat there, but I worked more on they had also a food service side. So, the booths. And I remember working there and, had to wear the uniform. It was a lot different from downtown. The vibe was different. The clientele, we knew more like a lot of regulars. I do remember there was one young lady that was one of the waitresses, and she was kind of very, I think the word is competitive, and she knew who the tippers were and things like that, but she wasn't going to help. Oh, I do remember one time, this came back to me. I loved hot tea. So we served a lot of coffee, but tea was very cool. Like you got the cup and then you got the lemon slice on the side.
Oh, okay.
But you would have this little tin. Once again, like it looked like our tip box. So like a silver kind of color. And had a lid you could press.
Yeah.
And clingy. Well, you would fill it with hot water. So you got to carry these little trays. So I remember at the Southern Park Mall, I was carrying the little tray with the hot tea. Somehow it fell back on me. I'm wearing the dress, so that's not much protection.
No.
It hurt. And the customer, I just remember standing out that they weren't even like, are you okay? Like me I would be like, are you okay?
Right.
So, but
yeah.
the mall was very different. I didn't work there very long due to logistics. And here at downtown, I could walk. Or after I moved up on Elm Street, I could still catch the bus. The mall was a lot different. It didn't really work out. So but eventually Woolworths closed. I'm not sure of the end date.
Yeah.
But I remember getting transferred, and then my next job, which we're going to talk about,
was
at Strauss's. I went through the same thing, the waning years of Strauss's and then.
And where was Strauss's located at exactly?
What they call now 20 Federal.
Okay.
So literally.
Yep.
Oh, one more thing I wanted to tell you about Woolworths, which was kind of unique. So, the warm weather, we would have a little cart we would put outside. And I liked that job. I got that job a couple times. So, we had this fresh fruit, little scoops, and then you put ice cream on top.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so yummy. I would like that job too.
That was very popular with the office workers.
Yeah.
And so I liked that. And I've always been a lover of people and just seeing and the colors and everything.
Yeah.
So I liked that. And we would sell the fried chicken. So I always say, when Stan Boney was first here, started as a reporter.
Yes, I know. Yes, him way back.
I served him a fried chicken, and I just saw not too long ago, I served you fried chicken.
What did he say?
He said, okay. He was gracious, but he
yeah, that
didn't stand out to him like it stood out to me.
Right. And it's understandable that it would stand out to you and more so than him.
Yeah.
But isn't that something, that little cute memory? I love that.
It stands out all this time. And so I really enjoyed that part of it. And Woolworths had a good name. They were known. They're a good brand.
Yeah.
And a lot of the memories that come with it, even like the customers coming in. And I had a few customers who I still maintain friendships with up until not a few years ago, because they were older gentlemen. One was a steel worker. His name is Arlett Gatewood. I believe he's here. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a well-known name. Yeah.
He was one of my customers.
Is that
there.
right?
And then forward to 91, 94, I had two sons, and I started bringing them to all the wire shoe events.
Okay.
And he was a big time YSU basketball
Okay.
fan. So sometimes I would sit by him. How are they?
Oh, how
So I used to sit by them
sweet.
sometimes.
Oh, and I bet that was really good
Him
for
and
your
Mr.
boys
Height.
too.
Yes, him and
Yeah.
Mr. Height. So
Yeah.
they knew me way back from
Is that right?
waitressing.
Okay, so Stan Boney might not remember you, but you definitely got the other guys that would remember you. That's really cute. I love that. So yeah, so for me, I didn't know exactly where Strauss's was. I knew it was always downtown, but you've given me
Yes, so
an understanding where it was.
So you know where Knox is.
Yep.
So if you,
and I know where the 20 West Federal is at too. So that's where Strauss's was.
Yes.
And you got that job shortly after Woolworth's?
Yes. I want
Okay.
to say, I think I was done with Woolworths at around 85. I
Okay.
want to say 86.
Sure.
86, 87 maybe.
Okay.
But then I was up the hill at YSU because this job didn't last super long because once again, they went through a closing, which was interesting, sad,
Yeah.
a little bit of everything. But I got hired, so Strauss's had a restaurant called The Greenery,
Oh, no, I didn't know that. Okay.
which I sadly heard that's going to be demolished.
What's going to be demolished?
That corner where the restaurant, I don't know how they're doing it, but I read, like, oh man, that was The Greenery. It was, the last thing it was like an office of the mayor for like grounds or something.
Okay.
But that's where The Greenery was.
Okay.
It faced Commerce.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that.
And it was like
Kind of picture it.
breakfast and lunch. And it was real airy, nice windows. That's the name, I think, and probably a lot of
Yeah.
plants. So I got hired there as a waitress, and I worked there for a while. Then I remember, Strauss was huge. So like, 6, 7 floors.
Oh, okay.
And they had different restaurants. They had one real fancy one. I can't remember the name of it, but it's super fancy.
Oh.
Then they had the mezzanine where they sold like grill stuff and,
Okay.
and malts. But I ended up working, there was on the 4th floor, way in the corner. I never knew about it till I worked there. A little pub.
Oh,
Cutest
yeah?
little thing. You know what reminds me of it now? Have you ever been to the Foundation Lounge in the
No.
basement of the Studio One building?
No, I
It's
haven't.
the closest thing that reminds me to small, intimate, a bar,
Okay.
and then some seats. So I worked there for the lunch period. They were
Okay.
only open lunch period.
Oh,
And
okay.
Mary Scicchetti, she was the bartender. And I did the tables, maybe like 8,
Okay.
9, 10. And we had French onion soup. I remember that was a specialty. And we had this,
I love French onion soup.
provolone cheese, grilled cheese on rye.
Oh,
So
yummy.
good. I think bacon too.
Oh, stop it.
I know, right? I'm hungry now. And I
Yes.
can't find those things now. But
Yeah.
I remember those things stand out in my mind because I never had served those kind of things at Woolworths. But like we had like these fancy little dishes. We brought the French onion soup and had the melted
Oh,
cheese.
neat.
But I loved that job. It was very nice. It was just her and I. The customers were nice, kind of a little bit more maybe on the professional side. I remember
Yeah.
the one gentleman, he was like, he had something to do with the library.
Okay.
He might have been on the board, but he would come in a lot. But I really enjoyed that. Uniform, brown dress. I couldn't remember. It was kind of
Oh, wow.
I don't want to say tan, but a dress. Which would not be too warm in the winter. But I found it to be a lot more pleasant than the Woolworths because the management was different.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a little bit.
Was it mostly men who were managers too when you worked these jobs?
So at Woolworths, there was our main manager for the food part was a lady.
Oh, okay.
She was very stern. Never smiled.
Okay. Very business oriented. And yeah, they're out there and they're like that, you know?
And very, she would almost glare at you.
Yeah.
You know, she would stand there, like I said, you know, you as you have worked in restaurants too, you know, in restaurants. So, you know, like, we're trying to hurry up. And she's, you know, like, she was kind of an imposing.
Yes.
But we did have a male manager at Woolworths. He was kind of hot and cold. Sometimes he might be like, you know, he'll speak to you and say, hi, Rebecca. You know? But we found out later there was a lot of things going on that behind the scenes that I believe he even might have gotten in a little legal trouble, so I'm not sure. But so.
Oh, okay.
But my experience management-wise at Strauss's was a lot better. I remember my main manager was a lady, and she even had wanted me to go. Her name was Chris, and she was at the Manacor too, and she had asked me to come over to the Manacor. So I kind of like that they know I'm a good worker.
Yeah.
I always really I didn't let my wage dictate how I acted. You know?
Yeah.
I've never been a person where like that's not part of my job description, you know. So I like that about me, and I've always loved downtown. Just having good memories of my grandma taking me down there, and even when I was a senior in high school, she got a charge card at Learners, so she could buy me a few things. So I love that connection. And, you know, was it with the humanities here where they were talking about memory and place? That might have been one of the themes. But
unfortunately, I'm not familiar with that.
And that kind of spoke to that. Like, I've always wanted to be a part of downtown.
Yeah.
And I feel like I do have that good history.
Oh, yeah, you do.
But I didn't work at Strauss's as much. Strauss's was awesome because you walk in, and first thing, when you walked in from Federal, makeup counters, jewelry, you know, just like kind of like at the malls now.
Yeah.
And I remember getting my makeup done. My friend Kim was working there, and she's like, every now and then they would have demonstrations, and so that was always fun. That made you feel good. I'm not really good at applying eyeshadow. I like it, but I don't know how to mix it, and she did that. And I would sometimes catch things on sale.
Oh, yeah. Sales stuff was always nice, isn't it? Oh.
I remember buying this pair of high heels there they have on sale. A really nice brand, I think Nina something. And they were this eggplant color. Purple's my favorite color. So. Oh. But then I remember also like the sales but once again, they too were on the way out.
Yeah.
I got transferred. The restaurant started closing. I believe in both cases, the restaurants closed down before the sales floor closed down.
Okay.
Which would kind of make sense because of stock and all of that.
Yeah.
So I got transferred to Southern Park Mall.
Again?
Yes.
Okay.
And once again, a cute little restaurant. I never knew about it. When I ride out there now, you can see it's partially covered now because they did some construction.
Yeah.
But it was upstairs, so you rode the escalator up.
Okay.
And there were these huge windows. I can't recall the name of it, but it was a little area, and they had like a bar and some tables. And I liked working there. I felt like I was treated more like an equal there.
Yeah.
I wasn't there too long. Once again, logistics. It wasn't really feasible for me to keep going out to the mall with the bus and different things. So.
But you did it because you still had a job, and then you transitioned over there, and that makes sense. So was this like late 80s, early 90s then?
This was late 80s.
Late 80s.
Because then I segued up to YSU, and I worked for catering at YSU in a wicker basket.
Okay.
And I know for sure because I mentioned to you earlier, sometimes the dates are fuzzy, but I remember when the Butler had that Beecher Court opening.
Okay.
I served that dinner. That dinner was like, they just had a dinner a couple weeks ago with like hundreds of people. And I saw the pictures and like, that brought me back. Because I was working at YSU for catering as a waitress in a wicker basket, which was a lunch crowd kind of thing.
Okay.
But catering went all day long, and when they needed, the spring was really their busy season. So, but I remember doing that big dinner, and it was fun. It was exciting, but it was kind of hard to get through with we would pour the coffee. We would bring the coffee to the tables. And that was always kind of scary for me, hot liquids and chairs. Like, sometimes I think when they space these things out, they mean well, but they're not considering, people pushing them back and things.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun. I loved it. I loved being on campus.
And did that inspire you to go back to school, being on campus like that?
Yes, eventually after my sons were a little older, yes.
I see, okay.
And I mentioned to you before we recorded too, like when I step anywhere near town, school, my foot hits the sidewalk, I'm home.
Yeah.
I'm safe.
I know what you mean.
I'm safe. And I really enjoyed working for YSU, the company at the time, so they contract. Right now the company is Chartwells.
Yeah, okay.
Gave us a delicious meal the other day when I was here for the Pete's Pride mixer. But it was Aramark, which is a well-known company. Okay. And I enjoyed working for them. I thought they were pretty fair. In fact, my main boss, so a lot of these food companies have different levels of managers, but the main boss was Mark Zetz.
Okay.
And he is awesome. I wanted to bring him out because contrast to Woolworths, where they're just watching you, glaring at you in the middle of a huge rush, which is going to affect their bottom line, And it's like, I have the highest respect for him. He would be in the wicker basket, which was Chick-fil-A's there now. Have you been to the Chick-fil-A?
Yes, okay.
That was the wicker basket. So
thank you for that, visual.
Yes.
That helps me.
Yes,
I appreciate
because
it.
it's the same length. They haven't made any modifications that way. When I worked there as a wicker basket, you would walk in those outer doors, and there was a buffet.
Oh, okay.
Which I really liked. We were known for having certain soups and delicious entrees. Or you could order from the menu. But a lot of people were pressed for time, and of course, buffet.
Yeah.
But if we would get a rush, you can imagine deans. The front part of the restaurant was for the deans. That was reserved for the deans. But we would get big groups. I still have dreams to this day. It's you go in the kitchen to get a plate, you come back, there's 20 people at your thing. It takes a lot of nerves, nerves of steel, which I liked it. I mean, I don't regret being a waitress at all. I think it taught me a lot. But going back to Mr. Zetz, who I thanked him. I saw him earlier this year when we were saying goodbye to President Trump. I'm like, Mr. Zetz, I still have the most respect for you. He's an advisor now, and he does the hospitality program.
Oh, okay.
He's here with hospitality.
Okay.
I'm like, I'll never forget when you just went. He went over to the station, grabbed the coffee pot, and started pouring. Like that, to me,
yes,
I have the highest respect for him.
Right.
Because of that. Instead of yelling or glaring or, that's a team.
Yeah. That's a team when you have the boss coming in with you and working right alongside with you.
Yes.
I feel the same way about that.
Yes.
Yep. And it gives me much more respect because they understand how we're also feeling. Even though they're the supervisors, the managers, they understand how we feel.
Yes.
And they want to come in and help too.
Exactly. It's beautiful.
It really, really is. It really is.
And we wore, we had uniforms for that job too, but it was more optional. So,
okay.
White blouse, like an apron, black apron.
Okay.
And you could either wear a skirt or pants. I would always wear pants. And you wore the little apron with the pockets because you had to stick your pad.
Okay.
So I write real fast because you had to.
You had to.
You had to. And it's cool because you learn shorthand.
Oh, okay.
And you work with all different personalities, and I like that. There was one young guy in the back who was a cook, and he was so awesome. But personally, I don't curse, so. But they'd be back there. But it was funny because if I would come back, they purposely wouldn't. One time, I think one slipped through and like, I'm sorry, Miss Rebecca, I'm sorry. And it's like, I didn't say anything. They just had that respect, Yeah. And I love it. It was like a different environment compared to what I was telling you about earlier.
Yeah.
But it was fast and fun and a team, and I could just remember, like, when you're in food service, as you know, you got to be prepared to do a lot of different things. Like,
yeah,
I had to make a big, huge container of tartar sauce one time, which I personally can't stand. But I did it for the team in the restaurant.
Yeah.
It's just like a lot of good memories, and so I still feel happy when I walk there. Just even going back in there, the bathroom in there was lovely. You got to see that bathroom one day. It's like fancy, but I love that. And I met people. I served Clyde Singer, who is a famous artist from the area. He passed away.
Yeah, I was going to say the name sounds familiar. Okay.
He has a piece hanging up in the Butler, and he would come in. There was a Joe Tuscheroni. He used to come into our buffet. I never knew he was an artist until years later. His work is gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
It's like space themed, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
I served, can't recall his name, but he was the head basketball coach here for like 1 year. And then guess who calls him? Phil Jackson from the Lakers.
Oh, okay,
so
that's cool.
He worked with Phil as his assistant for years.
Wow.
But I specifically remember, like, he liked grilled cheese, and he gave me like a $2 tip. That was like one of the biggest tips I ever got my whole waitressing career, So,
yeah.
But it was interesting. And we had one more thing before I forget, which is unique. I kind of wish they did it now, but with that wicker basket, we were open only for basically lunch.
Oh, okay.
But during basketball season, they had something called pregame. So they would open and have the buffet.
And that's probably because of the location where that was compared to the stadium. Yeah, that makes sense.
And
that makes sense.
Nice. That was where all special memories. And,
Yeah.
and everybody liked it. The customers liked it. And it was kind of more relaxed. It wasn't so much the pressure from lunch, like coming out and seeing 20 people, and they're like, we got class in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But very interesting.
When you worked at, especially even on YSU campus at, excuse me, I'm so sorry.
I can tell you about Arby's too if you want me to.
The catering. Oh, and you worked at the Arby's there too.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All in that time period, like one, boom, 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 boom.
Was that enough? I mean, if you had 2 boys in the early 90s, was that enough pay for you?
Well, I did.
Or
it
did you work?
before I had my boys.
Oh, okay. So by the time you had your boys, though, where were you working?
I was stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
I had been taking a class. I was in a training class.
Okay.
For more secretarial things.
Oh, okay.
It was like a 10-month program.
Okay. And you were married then?
Yes.
Oh, from 1984.
Yes.
I think the reason why I got lost is because from 84 to 91, there was a huge gap between when you had your children.
Yes.
So,
7 years, yep.
Yeah, so that kind of threw me off just for a split second because I wasn't putting it all together.
That's okay. I did various jobs when they were young. So I did, like, one you're called a independent contractor. I would go out to the store and, like, offer something.
Oh, okay.
I did that real briefly. It wasn't feasible.
Yeah.
I did a lot of in-home childcare.
Okay.
I wanted to have my own daycare. It didn't work out, but I would babysit. So I babysit a lot of different children. Yeah. I loved it. The mothers were like, "You're crazy." Like, no, I love it. I had like all little ones, and I even had like a couple junior high kids.
Oh, okay.
On and off.
Yeah. Well, when you have 2 young boys, that makes it easier. Just add a couple more.
Yeah, and I had a big living room, 30 feet.
Yep. Ooh, yeah, that's good.
I loved it. We did crafts and different things.
Oh, my lands, how wonderful.
And I'm proud of it because I took very good care of them. One young lady told me when she dropped her son off for a while, she was going to Kent State for I believe her master's. And she dropped him off, and she said, "You're the only place he doesn't cry when I." And that really meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
And so I cherish those days, and they're all they're all big
people
now.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But I did that.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
And then when they got a little older, that's when I decided to go back to school.
What did you go back to school for then?
Oh, so cool. I wanted to be a teacher.
Oh, wonderful.
I went straight to Bigley College of Ed in 2008.
Okay.
Well, in 2008, I kind of began the process. Went to a couple meetings for returning students, started doing the paperwork. I originally was supposed to begin fall of 2008. However, there was some issue with my Social Security number going back to when I attended like 81, 82.
Okay.
There was some discrepancy. So they just said, wait, I don't even remember what really happened. I mentioned to you I had to get a lot of different new Social Security cards because I unfortunately was robbed a lot of times.
Okay.
But there was something like one number was off. I don't remember. I got my first Social Security card in 8th grade. Our teacher from Hayes she made the arrangements, so that was really cool.
Oh, interesting.
So I had that number. I've had one since 8th grade. But, so I did the paperwork. I was kind of disappointed, but I was happy. I said, I'll just look at it as more time to prepare.
Oh, so yeah, good strategy.
In January of 2009.
Okay.
And I went straight to Bigley. I want to be a teacher, always in my heart, you know. I was talking to a man the other day. He was like, Sarah's going to be a teacher. She used to play teacher with her animals. I'm like, me too.
Oh, my goodness.
So I went back for that. I started on that track. However, a lot of things changed. Mainly my son passed away, my Bruce.
I'm sorry, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Was he your oldest or your second?
My baby.
Your baby.
Yeah, my second.
Wow.
And so I went through a lot.
Yeah.
That was in 2012. And I even remember like kind of just hanging out here because it's so pretty outside the museum, you know.
Yeah.
And it was July, so I just kind of found it peaceful and I was thinking. So I want to teach. Still at the heart of what I want to do and have done through these years. But I don't want it, I want it to be more unstructured, I guess, more flexible.
Yeah.
So I went into social work.
Oh, okay.
Because I love people, like, okay, cool, I'll be a social worker.
Yeah.
But once again, I was in class and I remember specifically, this class was called Social Work Processes, and I enjoyed it. But there was one part where they discussed this term, termination.
Yeah.
And they're like, I know, right?
Yeah.
And we were watching this film, right? And they showed a social worker talking to this cute little old lady, you know. They're having their session, and the social worker is going like, Mary, you know, this is our last visit. We were scheduled for 10 visits or something like that. And Mary said, are you still going to come see me? And she's like, no. And I'm sitting there in class like, okay, I'll definitely have a problem with that.
Yeah,
because in social work, you write a lot. You have to write about yourself a lot, which I didn't want to do because I wanted to kind of avoid some of the trauma and different things. But you have to be self-aware. And because I love school and because it was for a grade, I said, okay, I'll do it. Yeah. And so it's kind of cathartic in a way.
Yeah.
But when I was in that class, I remember that was kind of one of the turning points. I kind of like, maybe I don't want to be in this, you know, per se. So I ended up switching to general studies.
Okay.
Which I felt was a lot more flexible. So I had, with my degree, I have a concentration. So you have 2 focus areas.
Okay.
So I have a concentration of social work and sociology.
Okay.
And my minor is women's studies.
That makes sense, yeah.
So I'm still figuring it out. I've mentored a lot. I also mentioned to you that as a student, I had a student tutoring position with Dr. Karen Becker for her reading and study skills class from 2010 to 2016, which I absolutely loved. It still tells me this is what I want to do. I want to work with students.
Yeah.
So I'm still figuring it out. But that's my degree, Bachelor in General Studies.
Okay.
And I would like to come back and finish my I have 3 classes toward a nonprofit.
Oh,
minor, and I'm really big into that world too.
Yeah.
So that's my future.
So
goals.
What are you currently doing right now?
I'm in a
work-wise?
pause mode.
Pause mode, okay.
The pandemic kind of changed a lot of things for me.
Oh, yeah.
And I had COVID in 2020.
You did?
Yeah. So
Oh.
I'm still feeling the residual. I have random dizziness.
Yes.
And
it's so sad. I hear that over and over.
Wednesday, it's a good thing I didn't go anywhere. I originally wanted to help with the English festival, but I couldn't. And I'm glad, she double checked with me like at the beginning of the month. And I said, looking at that schedule, it just hits you randomly. I could barely make it from the kitchen to the living room and back. So
That's terrible.
Yes, and then fatigue. It's better than it was. It's not as bad as it was in 2021, but it's still random enough that I don't feel like I want to commit. I take my employment very seriously. Like I want to.
Oh, I hope it all works out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to some new mentoring opportunities, and I definitely want to do something with students.
Yeah.
I really like.
I wonder if there's even what about just either, now listen to me, I don't know, but I'm thinking, okay, can you do a substitute teaching? Can you do tutoring? There's got to be something in that window that is right for you.
Yes.
And I'm sure you'll figure it out.
Yes.
It's just you got to take those steps.
Yeah.
And because.
Do some research and some networking.
Yeah. Networking, yes.
But I wanted to thank my sons because they inspired me so much. I was during that time they were especially in elementary and even middle school, I was very involved in the schools. I would go volunteer. I'm like, I want to be there, I want to help, I want to be part of it. So I did everything from help little kids go to the gym, would take them to the bathroom.
Oh, jeez,
Even one teacher, she was like, could you help me with the bulletin board? Anything. I was down. Because I'm like, I love it. I want to be there. And I still was able to be a part. They went to a lot of different schools because when they were in school, the schools were rebuilding, so shutting down, tearing down, rebuilding. So they went literally on every side of town. As they got a little older, it was a little harder for me to get there. But they were also in the gifted, so. But I loved all those experiences, and I would talk to the boys. I always loved education.
Yeah.
And so I would talk about, I want to go back to WashU, and I took them to so many WashU things. They were known, the coaches knew them, everything. That's a whole nother story, but they knew YSU. They knew the floors, the walls, everything, the people, And so I remember specifically my Bruce. One day I said, I'm going to go back to school where I want to. And he looked at me and he was like, Mom, you always say that. And I kind of got the hint. And it kind of spurred me on to take the actual steps. So I
give him credit.
Yeah, I very much, and that's what I said after he passed away. It was so hard, but I said, I'm going to dedicate my diploma to him. And I did.
Yeah.
And I was kind of worried about going to the actual ceremony. And I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to keep it together, but I did.
Good for you.
I didn't know, I was kind of worried about it, but graduation was such a experience. I've been to so many, but as a observer, when you're actually down there and you're feeling the excitement and you're with your friend. I was with my friend Jada. She was right next to me, Jada Beasley. And it's like, it's just totally different. So, but they all helped me, and I love that. My sons inspired me too.
It's nice to have those people that inspire you, or even the ones that mentor you or take you under their wing and guide you and stuff.
If we have time, I'd like to briefly mention Arby's because it was kind of unique.
Yeah, please do. I have that. Yeah, go.
So
let's go back
Arby's
to that.
On campus once again. So this is why I hope. So Arby's was on the first floor of Kilcawley Center. At the time, it was the largest Arby's counter in the world.
Oh my gosh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I believe Arby's has origins here.
Yes, right.
So, but I remember them saying that. It was a long counter. So Wendy's is there now, and it's not as long. But it was so cool. Once again, I did like a little bit of everything. So I did the slicer, because we were so busy. Like that was your position for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And I always had a lot of respect for it, because I remember the manager was like, just can like cut your head off. So I was like,
yeah, those things can be dangerous,
we
man.
had to use the chain gloves, but I always respected it. And then we had one position where we had this bun toaster butterer thinger. So you just took the buns and and it was cool. You did this kind of motion because it's kind of like going down.
Oh my goodness.
Then we had the milkshake machine, the fry. It was like, once again, it was so busy. It wasn't like you did this and the burgers and the fries. It was so busy, like fry was your spot.
Okay.
I remember one time they had to take me off because the heat. I kind of got really like lightheaded, so I was about to go on the ground. But it was fun. It was exciting. I loved, being with the students. I always want a job where I'm busy.
Yes.
I don't
yeah.
So I like.
I hear that a lot.
One really cool thing we did, which I see some restaurants doing now. I see like on Facebook, but we would get such a big crowd, they would put somebody out in the lobby with a mic.
Oh.
And you would have a clipboard, and you would take the order. So you're sending the order back.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that a good idea?
It is, but I can't imagine the people who are prepping the food and everything, how busy they would be.
Yeah, so you'd be like, one roast beef with horsey sauce or whatever, one beef and cheddar, and one ham and cheese. That was so cool because it was more efficient than getting up there. And then that would also help with the person who's like still wondering, and I loved it. And a couple times I got to do that job. I had a job where I cleaned the lobby. I like that.
Yeah.
You're out, it's a big lobby.
Yeah, and get you away from and just being able to be mobile.
Yeah, and I've
nice.
always liked a job where I have different variety.
Yeah.
And our boss, one of our main bosses there, his name was RJ, and he actually kind of concocted this delicious recipe they had for a while. Scrambled eggs, and you could have sausage, bacon, or ham. But he put it in a pita.
Oh.
It was so good. And there was another boss named Chris. And Chris was there up until they just closed.
Yeah.
I would still see her sometimes. But I really enjoyed my experience at Arby's. I felt respected. I don't quite remember the wage, probably minimum wage, but
yeah.
I going back to how I was treated, I felt respected and treated well as an employee.
When you had all those jobs, though, obviously every job there's going to be one or two throughout your years or time there that there's going to be a difficult person that you have to work with. How did you overcome that challenge of working with that difficult person? Did you lay low? Did you confront them? Did you stand up for yourself? Did you communicate with management? Or was it just a mixture of different things that you would do?
I definitely did not stand up for myself now that I look back at it. I was more meek. I guess I'm a non-confrontational. So I definitely... In fact, I remember my mother. Sometimes I told my mother, and she did not take it well. She said a few things. But with that, I think the most confrontational, the most difficult person would have been at the Woolworths, just because of the, constant glaring and looking for something to mark against you.
Yeah.
I think so I just did a combination of keeping busy, trying not, I guess, stay under the radar.
And you know what? That strategy was good for you because it just made you look like a good worker, in which you were, but you were a good worker. And what happened at Woolworths? Now you're going to come over here and you're going to count the money. It gave them it helped them to trust you.
Yes.
They saw you as trustworthy because you were that good worker.
Yes.
So instead of engaging in that confrontation, you benefited from that strategy of yourself.
And I think I stayed true to myself because I didn't deviate from who I am as a person, even though I was going under that adversity. So.
Can I ask you another kind of sensitive personal question? I'm kind of interested in how did you overcome that domestic violence issue that you had? Were you able to just separate yourself, or did you seek help?
No, I left. I just left. Eventually, well, I sought help in a little bit, but mainly I just left. It was now that I had a flashback yesterday. A young lady had on Facebook a comparison picture. So she said, then, now. But her then was her arm all bruised. And it took me back to when that was me. And I would go to work like that. I mean, so I really wasn't a lot of times I wasn't probably in a good state of mind. I mean, I didn't talk about it at work, but it had to be apparent.
Yeah.
And sometimes now I'm like, how did you? I guess a lot of people call me resilient and strong. I am strong.
Yeah.
But I just it was hard. Sadly, I gave all my money to the person. I got in that cycle, and so I didn't have anything really materially to show for it. So it's something I'm kind of just trying to work through now.
Yeah.
Now when I look back and sharing with you that I do have a diagnosis of PTSD, but it was something else. I think work helped me.
Yeah.
Because it let me be another person. Apart from the words I was hearing, the hateful words, along with the terrible actions. But a lot of the abuse was words. You're not this, why would I this, etc.
Yeah.
And so I think it helped me show that I could still, I don't know if I want to say survive, just have a different part of me where I was competent. You're saying I'm not competent, I'm not this, I'm not worthy, but I'm down here doing this, I'm helping my friends, I'm serving food. I wouldn't say I was the fastest waitress, but I was one of them, you know. So all that helped. All that helped a lot. But I'm a runner, so I'm learning all that now. So I kind of just ended up eventually breaking free.
Yeah.
But
that's good.
But work, I would say work definitely helped.
That's good too.
Because it kept me busy. Just think of what else, what I could have happened to me if I wasn't gone all that time. You know, like I said, Woolworths was that was full time.
Yeah.
40 hours a week at least. Except for maybe in January where it slowed down a little bit. But still it was maybe 30 hours. And just having people to talk to, some of the customers that did care and things like that.
Yeah.
Like the Mr. Arlette Gatewood.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
But one more thing I wanted to mention about Woolworths.
Yeah.
As far as tipping, it's very interesting because some of the more professional people, they wouldn't really leave you much of anything. You might be doing good if you got 15 cents. Some of our biggest tippers were like the retirees or people that live down here on Social Security. But I think they were a little more compassionate sometimes.
Yeah.
And it definitely was a case of sometimes you could just feel them like you're beneath them. They would communicate that to you. Either by words or actions or attitudes. Yeah. So it was interesting.
So we've talked about a lot and we've hit a lot of stuff, but is there something that maybe I didn't think to ask you, or just anything that, you know, about your experiences as a worker that you would still like to make sure that you talked about?
Yes.
What is it, please?
Is there a time limit?
No, there isn't.
Good. Okay.
There's an average, and we did go past. I just wanted to make sure that where we were time-wise, but we're good. But yeah, I would like to hear that.
So I want to tell you the really, really good
Yes.
good experiences.
Please, yes.
And I'll be brief with some of them because they weren't long.
Yeah.
In 2011, I did some community organizing work for SEIU.
SCIU?
Service Employees International Union.
Okay.
They had an office up here on Belmont.
Okay.
Wow, that was eye-opening. It was a 6-week summer job.
Okay.
I want to say we made like $550 a week.
Wow.
I know, right? That's what I said. I'm not used to this.
Yeah,
and
that's so funny.
We were allotted, I think the 50 was we were allotted $10 a day for lunch.
Oh, nice.
You got to realize I'm a college student at that time. I'm like, that was big time to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I loved it. Our charge was to go out and get some signatures about SB5.
Okay.
We were one of several groups doing it throughout Ohio. So
okay. And what's SB5 exactly?
Good question. It was some kind of bill. Like I said, sometimes my memory is fuzzy.
Okay. A state bill?
Yeah, some kind of bill.
Okay. Got it.
I'm not, I don't want to say because I'm not positive
it could be something that could be easily looked up, I'm sure, if need be. But anyways,
I know it did. I believe it did pass because the lead. So it was through SEIU, but they hired like somebody to lead us. So it was through MVOC, Mahoning Valley Organizing Collaborative, and I loved it. It was summer, and we got paid weekly. We went up to Cleveland to sign our papers, and it was cool. Like, because all the groups were together, so it was kind of like a little networking thing, and they were explaining it. And at the end of the summer, it was just straight 6 weeks. The original. The groups, because I know there was like a group, I believe, in Akron, Toledo, a couple other places. And we ended up getting enough signatures so that they kind of tweaked the rest of the employment period, which I really liked. So we went out in the community. What do you see as a need for your community?
Really?
Yeah, it was
okay.
So cool. It was so cool. I loved it.
So it was kind of like a survey you got to do then too. Okay.
And we did a variety of things, and it was so cool because this past weekend at Federal Frenzy, there were some people out there circulating with the clipboards.
Yeah.
And theirs was for legalization of marijuana, but I was like, I know this is a hot spot. You know the terminology now. Like, yeah, this is a hot spot. That's what they call when you can go to like a big group or like even a store sometimes. And then when they, at the office, when they assign you where you're going to work, that's called cutting turf and stuff. It's so cool. But I liked it because, first of all, it fit my need for variety. So every day was different. You might be knocking on doors one day. You might be making phone calls. You might be going to a training.
Okay.
A couple times we went to Akron to be part of the group.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And going back to how we were treated, I felt very respected, treated, like this is a union.
Yeah.
So they had more of those principles of you get this much time for a break.
Yeah.
They're not going to cheat you on it or get, make you go out of it or whatever.
Yeah.
And I really liked that, and that was a new experience for me.
Yeah.
And I really liked it a lot. I worked with a nice group of people, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But from 2010 to 2016, I worked for Reading and Study Skills at YSU under Dr. Karen Becker.
Okay.
And I love it. I loved the experience. It went back to that desire to teach in a way. We worked in small groups. So the way the class was set up, the class was 4 days a week, reading and study skills. And 2 days the professor would lecture, and 2 days were tutoring days.
Okay.
And 1 day of tutoring would be with this computer program on the computers, and that built not only speed but comprehension, twofold. And the other day would be you would work in the class. The professor would be there, but just as an aside, which I really like because I like that autonomy. They would give us a guideline, like they would give us a sheet. These are the things we want you to go over, dealing with something they had lectured about that week previously. And you would work in small groups, and you kept records, and you kind of marked down how the student did. But it was really awesome, collaborative. I would always learn something from the students, whether it was a new way to notate or something. I loved it. It was very give and take, and it wasn't punitive. It was always relaxing. And I was able to work with so many different professors, and they had different methods, and they were all effective.
Oh, okay. So Karen Becker was the administrator of that class, but it allowed you to work with other professors based on this coursework.
Yes.
And okay.
I want to give Dr. Karen Becker so much credit because as we talked about all my earlier experiences, so I call her the boss. To me, she was the boss.
Yeah.
When we had our training prior to that, she sent us the emails, and we met in the Mogg Library for like several days, and she gave us the training. There was a nice manual, the book.
Okay.
And just ways to work with students, all kind of different things, some of the things from the book. But she had such a beautiful system to mentor us.
Yeah.
So as the new tutors, we had a mentor tutor that had experience.
Okay.
And they would just periodically check in with us, either a text or sometime a note. We had these cool mail slots. Her husband built it was like a big case. So there was a lot of us tutors. There was a big section of class. And they would sometime leave, and they were just like, how's tutoring going? Do you have any questions? And I loved it, and especially now looking back, because it helped you build confidence, because things can come up that, of course, is not going to come in training sometime. But it helped us build confidence, and then eventually we would become the mentor tutor. And I loved it, and it was all, I thank her to this day because she trained us very well, but then she didn't micromanage us. She let us.
Nice.
She trusted us.
Yeah.
And we did good. And when you see the students you work with graduating and doing things, some are nurses, teachers, engineers, etc.
You know you had a part in that.
And I love it, and it's beautiful memories, and I really appreciate that kind of work experience. And versus the others, it wasn't like, it wasn't like they're coming down the hallway and it was a wonderful experience. And
what happened to that job?
Well, and you kind of seg out of it because once you're not a student, I graduated.
I see.
Yeah, it was a combination of graduating.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Oh.
I know, right? That's what I said.
I've seen job postings sometimes, and then I'll start to read the details, and they're like, oh, they want an undergraduate student or a grad student. I'm like, oh, I could do that job though.
Yes, I saw a couple not too long ago because they were like, somebody was like, go check on the website. There's a lot of jobs at YSU. And I'm like, students.
Yeah.
Oh, man. One was like perfect, but it's like, must be current student. In fact, I just saw some posted for Scope. There's something for Scope. I'm going to go down there and talk to them.
I saw something from the YNDC because I follow them on Facebook because I really like what they're doing. And they posted a job that was perfect for me. And I was just like, it's an internship for a student. I'm like, no. So yeah, I totally get that feeling. And so yeah, that
my last job
that stinks.
Up until the pandemic.
Yeah.
Was with through HeartReach. They are a site for the Mercy Health Stepping Out program.
Okay.
So I was the monitor, kind of greeter, receptionist.
Uh-huh.
And that was with April Alexander. She was the one I would answer to. Mm-hmm. Very wonderful person. And once again, I love that. It was a few hours a week. Mm-hmm. But I felt so respected. Mm-hmm. I felt trusted. I kept records for the program. Mm-hmm. And I had to get different, it was a very good job. I liked it a lot. I liked the people component. And in fact, Miss Faith, I saw Miss Faith the other day, and she's one of the coordinators of the program through Mercy Health, Doris and Faith. And she's like, we keep waiting for you to come back. But once I got sick in the middle, because they had shut down for a while, and then they came back eventually. Mm-hmm. And this was kind of scary though. I had to do temperatures. It was kind of scary because I had to do it with the handheld. Mm-hmm. But I like it because it was scary. But I like it because sometimes I feel timid inside, but then when I do it and I get it accomplished, I'm like, okay, I did it. It's scary, but I did it. But I want to mention those jobs because I was very respected as a person. Yeah. And not treated like an equal. Yeah. And I loved it. And
they're still important. They are still
for a good, positive, stepping out as an exercise program, health program through Mercy Health. Yeah. And so I would do the nights when they had Zumba, and then they had chair cardio. Mm-hmm. So very energetic, happy. I still see the ladies sometimes like, hi. So, but I wanted to mention those because it was a nice experience. Yeah. And I appreciate it.
Yeah. Was there anything else though?
I think that's about it.
Okay. Fantastic. Yeah, you had a lot of information, but your experiences, I think, speaks volumes. I really do. They was very worthy to hear all this.
I really like the community organizing. It helped me a lot financially. At the time, I had to pay for some of my coursework and some of my personal bills. So that helped a lot.
How did you manage childcare? While you were going to school, because they were
older. They were.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So like maybe even graduated from high school type.
Not quite yet,
but old enough to be on their own and manage themselves.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Of both, yeah.
Okay, I see. That makes sense, really, and that happens a lot. I hear. Women will wait to do something, whether full-time job or go back to school.
Yes. They were into sports then, so they were like having a lot of practices after school and things like that.
Yeah, you need to be with them on that. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun though, but I just really loved it, and I think for the future I'm kind of excited because I feel like it's open, not scripted. Yeah. So I'm open. I'm definitely gonna do some researching because I do feel stronger now. I'm not pre-pandemic level strength wise, but it's better than it was. Yeah. So when I feel a little more confident that way, just with the random dizziness and the fatigue. Yeah. Because it's like it just you can't even tell. You can't even say like if I do this, it's gonna hit. It might not. So, but I'm excited. I definitely want to work with students some kind of way.
I hope so too. Yeah.
I'd love to work with a nonprofit. Yeah. I'd love to finish
my mind is like reeling. What's out there? There's got to be something. So, all right, well, fantastic. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for being here. This has been awesome.
I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.